The humid South African air hung heavy around the young lawyer, Mohandas Gandhi. He sat in the first-class carriage, clutching his ticket, a symbol of his status, his education in England. But the conductor saw only the color of his skin. Coolly moved to the van compartment, the voice boomed. Mohandas, principled and perhaps a little naive, refused. He had a valid ticket. The refusal led to a forceful ejection onto the cold, dark platform of Pietermaritzburg station. As the train chugged away, leaving him shivering in the biting night, something shifted within him. It wasn't just the cold that bit, it was the sting of raw, naked prejudice. In that desolate moment, a quiet resolve began to form. This injustice, he realized, was not his alone. It was the burden of his people and many others. That night was a crucible. The shy, somewhat timid lawyer began to transform. He decided to stay in South Africa and fight. Not with fists or weapons, for he was not a man of violence, but with a different kind of strength, the strength of truth, of peaceful resistance. He called it satyagraha, truth force. He organized the Indian community, facing down discriminatory laws, enduring imprisonment, beatings, and constant threats. He learned to shed his Western attire for simpler, homespun cloth, identifying with the poorest of his people. He established cooperative communities like Phoenix Settlement and Tolstoy Farm, living simply and practicing the principles he preached. He was no longer just Mohandas, he was becoming Gandhi, a leader. Years later, he returned to India, a land groaning under the weight of British rule. He traveled its length and breadth, not in comfortable carriages, but often on foot or in third class, witnessing the crushing poverty, the systemic oppression. He saw farmers exploited in Champaran, mill workers struggling in Ahmedabad. And to each, he brought his evolving philosophy of nonviolent non-cooperation. His methods were unconventional, sometimes baffling to both the British and even some of his own countrymen. He advocated for ahimsa nonviolence not as a passive surrender, but as an active, courageous force. He urged Indians to boycott British goods, to spin their own cloth khadi, to defy unjust laws peacefully, and to be prepared to accept the consequences, imprisonment, beatings, even death, without retaliating. The Salt Satyagraha of 1930 became an iconic moment. The British had a monopoly on salt, taxing a basic necessity. Gandhi, then a frail-looking man in his 60s, decided to defy this law. He began a 240-mile march from his ashram to the coastal village of Dandi. With a handful of followers at the start, the procession swelled with every village, every town. The world watched. Reaching the sea, he bent down and picked up a pinch of salty mud. With this, he declared, "I am shaking the foundations of the British Empire." It was a simple act, yet profoundly powerful. All over India, people began making their own salt, defying the law. Thousands were arrested, including Gandhi himself, but the movement surged. He showed that a people united, armed only with moral conviction, could challenge the mightiest empire on earth. Through years of struggle, fasts that brought him to the brink of death, and repeated imprisonments, Gandhi remained steadfast. He championed not just independence, but also the upliftment of the untouchables, whom he called Harijans, children of God, Hindu-Muslim unity, and a vision of a self-reliant India built from its villages. Independence finally came in 1947, but it was a bittersweet victory, marred by the horrific violence of partition. His heart broke to see the land he loved torn in two, to see Hindus and Muslims, whom he considered brothers, slaughtering each other. He walked through riot-torn villages, a lonely pilgrim of peace, trying to quell the flames of hatred. Just months later, on January 30th, 1948, while on his way to a prayer meeting, this apostle of peace was assassinated by a Hindu extremist who opposed his message of tolerance. Mohandas Gandhi, the man they called Mahatma Great Soul and Bapu Father, was gone. But his legacy was far from over. His life was a testament to the power of an idea, the strength of nonviolent action, and the unwavering belief that even the most entrenched injustice could be overcome by the persistent force of truth and love. He showed the world that a frail man with an iron will armed only with a loincloth and a walking stick could indeed shake an empire and inspire generations to fight for freedom and dignity not with weapons but with the indomitable spirit of peace.